Alrighty, good day everyone. Let me just make sure that it is recording. Alright, welcome to English Home Language. Today we will be dealing with poetry analysis, grade 11s. Before we can dissect the poem, I would like for us, before we can just go into things, I just want to make sure, can everybody see the PowerPoint presentation? It's visible on everybody's screens. Pendulo, since I can't see you, can you just switch on your mic and let me know if you can see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, thank you. All right, just for a quick class discussion before we start, what is your biggest fear and how do you overcome it? Elwa, please start.
My biggest fear.
Yes, and how do you overcome it if you have overcome it?
I think I would say my biggest fear is not being successful.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'm in the process of overcoming that. I think for now, I would say work hard, like as hard as I can, so I can get to where I want to be, instead of like dwelling in the fear that I have.
All right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bongi?
I think I have the fear of failing, so the fear of failure, and I think I overcome it by, I don't pay attention to my fear, but instead I want to pay more attention to my successes and like what I want to do to succeed.
All right, that's good. So basically you and Natasha are on the same range of things. All right, Bendulo?
Okay, like Bongi said, the fear of failure, and another one would be the fear of not knowing, I guess, like what the future holds. Yes. So like Bongi said, for me, how would I overcome that? Probably not dwelling too much on it and focusing on the now and what I can do on the now to get better.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you guys so much for sharing. So you understand in a minute why I asked you guys about your fears. But before we go into that, I just want to introduce you guys to the poem that we'll be doing today. It is called When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be by John Keats. And then before we go into the poem, I just want us to have a little bit of a background about John Keats. So he was born October 31st, 1795 in London, and he was the eldest of 4 children. Keats faced a life of tragedy, where he lost his father while he was on a horse ride, and then he lost his mom and dad at a very, he lost his mom and brother at a very young age, both of them to TB, tuberculosis. And then he was licensed to become a pharmacist, but he didn't. Instead, he preferred to write poetry. His poems weren't always published. They were criticized a lot. And then the struggles of his poetry career led to him having struggles with money. This led to him having issues in his love life. The thing about during that time, I don't know if it's still the same about now, but you couldn't court a woman if you were broke. If you were broke, don't come next to me. It's just that now it happens in a different way. Like now I think we have that whole thing of I'll wait for you to make it. Back in that day, no one waited for anyone to make it. If you were broke, no. Okay, so unfortunately Keats died on February 23rd, 1821 from tuberculosis as well. As mentioned before, like his brother and his mom, and he was only 25 years old. So Keats was a romantic poet. Please just pay attention to this part. Okay, you pay attention to every part, but this part is important. Because we will be discussing it in the poem to come. So the characteristics of romantic poetry, it emphasizes on being spontaneous emotionally and imaginatively. It emphasizes on self-expression and individual feelings, the heart and the emotions. It explores the truth of the imagination rather than scientific truth. It focuses on the I voice, as the poet or the writer's opinions and feelings is what matters. It has a religious response to nature. Nature should not just be seen scientifically. It's a living force, it's divine, it's something that's living and breathing. And then it celebrates the beauty of nature. Okay, so here is a copy of the poem. I just want you guys to take some time and just read the title, just the title. Is everybody good on that? Okay, so just by reading the title, can anybody tell me what you think the poem will be about?
Can you please go back again?
Okay. Just the title of the poem.
Okay, I'm guessing it's about like the fears that he had
Mm-hmm.
and maybe like how he overcomes them.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
good.
what I
All right,
Mhm.
Bongi. Okay, let me just Bongi.
I think, yeah, as Elo said, it's about fears, and because it says that when I have fears, that I may cease to be. So I think maybe it's about when you let your fears become a part of you,
Mm,
you as a person cease to exist because of your fears. If that makes sense.
okay, okay, that's a good one. We'll find out as we go more into the poem. Okay, there we go. All right. So now I'm just gonna give you guys, I think, a good minute or two just to read the poem. And once everyone's done, please just raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, so when I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high-piled books in charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain, when I behold upon the night-starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with magic hand of chance. And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone, and think, to love and fame to do nothingness sink. Right, now that we've gone through the poem, can anybody tell me from reading the poem what you think his fears are? Just a guess. Bendulo?
Um, from what I got, maybe I think he has a fear of dying young.
Okay.
And I think not being able to fulfill himself as a writer.
That's good.
So
That's
far,
very
that's what
good.
I managed to pick up.
Okay, that's very good. That is very, very good. Anybody else? Nope. That's okay. Okay, so we're just gonna go for a line by line analysis of of the poem. Excuse me, guys. So in the first lines, when I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pain has gleaned my teeming brain. So in the first line, he basically says, what would happen if I die? To cease is to die. So I have fears that I may die. Okay. And then we are introduced sort of to the speaker's emotional state and mental state. And obviously he's not in a good state because here he is thinking about death. He's anxious, he's worried, and it's very dark in his mind, eh? All right. And then the second line, before my pain has gleaned my teeming brain. So we are now introduced to a nature metaphor. Gleaned means to harvest or to gather. Together, I don't know, weed or. And then teeming means swarming and to overflowing. So gleaned, he wants to harvest his overflowing brain. So he wants to write, harvest. You understand? He wants to write, he wants to harvest the ideas that are in his brain. So he wants to take all these overflowing and many ideas that are in his brain and he wants to write them down. Are we okay on that one? Okay, so basically what he's saying is here is like, okay, I hope that I don't die before I get a chance to write all the things that are in my head. Like Bendulo said in the class discussion that we had here, that he fears that he may die before he accomplishes his creative dreams of being a writer. Okay? Yes? Okay. All right. So I have a question. What does the speaker thinks limits him like from being a writer? What is that one limitation that he thinks is going to limit him from achieving his dreams? What's that one limitation? Cease to be?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I think death.
Mm-hmm. Dying
Yeah,
young. Yes, dying young.
dying young. Yes.
Okay, good. Elwa, did you have something to say?
No, I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So when I have, thank you, Ella. When I have fears that I may cease to be, we can see that the first sentence does not have a punctuation ending the sentence. Rather, the punctuation is in the second sentence. What do we call this, and why do you think it has been done?
Can you please repeat the question? Sorry.
No, it's okay. When I have fears that I may cease to be, on the first line, can you see the first line?
Mm-hmm.
It does not have a punctuation. Rather, the punctuation continues to the second line. Why do you think this was done? And what is it called? It is a literary device. Bongi. Yes, Bongi?
Ma'am, I think it's an enjambment,
Yes.
and I think an enjambment is used to carry on like the thought or like the meaning of the sentence to the next line.
Yes, good. And then Bongi, what did they need to carry on? I get it in the first line. He said that, okay, I'm afraid to die. So what meaning was meant to be carried on? Why is he afraid to die?
Because he still wants to, he's scared to die before he can be like a well-known writer.
Good. That's good. Perfect. Thank you so much. Ella, did you have something to say? No. Okay, thank you. All right, in 9, 3, and 4, before high-piled books in charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain. So charactery means to express in words and symbols. So now we're writing. We see that he's writing. We're continuing the fact that he wants to be a renowned writer. And then garners means a storehouse, somewhere that you store something. So before high-piled books in charactery, my bad, I'm very sorry, hold like rich garners the full ripened grain. So what he's basically saying here is that I want to write so much character. I want to express my thoughts and my feelings and symbols. I want to write so many books that I want to fill them in storehouses, which are garners. We got that. Sorry for saying I get. The full ripened grain. The full ripened grain means that I have used my whole talent. Full ripened grain, let's say a banana, a banana. A green banana is not that ripe. Once it's black and it's yellow and you can't even eat it, that's when it's full ripened. So he says, I want to write so much that I want nothing left of my brain. Are we understood? All right. So there is a simile in line 4. I think I just explained it a bit, but who would like to just summarize it for me? Hold like garners the full ripened grain. Bongi, what's happening? Yes, Bongi.
Yes, the like is the simile in hold like, which garners the full ripened
Okay.
grain, and you explained it as him wanting to write so much in abundance, like the garners in like a full ripened grain, so that there's nothing left or nothing
Okay.
more that he could write.
Okay. Yes, so he wants to write so much that what he's written can be stored in these garners, in these storehouses. They can overflow these garners. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bongi. Lines 5 and 6. When I behold upon this night start phase, huge cloudy symbols of high romance. So he's sitting under the sky, he's looking at these stars, and he just thinks that, oh my word, what I'm seeing is beautiful, it's heavenly, it's astronomical. So we can see that he gets most of his inspiration from the universe and from nature, and he sees nature as a high regard. What characteristic, of romantic poetry is this? We spoke about it earlier. Does anyone remember what we said about romantic poetry regarding nature? Bendulo. Okay. We did say that it has a religious response to nature. Nature should not just be seen scientifically, but as a living force, and it celebrates the beauty of nature. So John Keats is a romantic poet, and we can see the examples of romantic poetry from lines 5 and 6. Okay. Right. And then now we're moving to lines 7 and 8. And I think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of grace. So the word never, what does it imply? We've been speaking about this recurring limitation of the writer's dreams. When you see the word never, what does it take us back to? This limitation that we've been constantly speaking about since the first lines of the poem. Never. The limitation to his dreams and the limitation to him fulfilling his purposes of being a writer. What limits him?
Now, is it not that him ceasing to exist, like him dying?
Him dying. So exactly, because the word never represents something that it stops. It's never gonna reoccur. It stops. It completely stops. All right. Okay, good. Their shadows with, so I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. So here he's saying, I'll never live to trace. As an artist, he traces, he writes about nature, nature being his inspiration. So he's basically saying that I really want to write about nature. I'm seeing these beautiful things about nature, but I really want to write them. But my worry is the universe might not give me an opportunity to write about it, because as according to him, he thinks that he may die. Death has a limitation. All right. And then in lines 9 and 10, when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more. So what do you think the end in the first word in line 9, what do you think it says about the fears of the author when he says end? Normally, when you say end, what is it for? What's the purpose of end in any type of sentence or any type of situation?
It's to add on
It's too
to
good.
what you're saying.
Good. So now, what does this say about the fears of the author? That he not only has the fear of not being a renowned writer, and so he has other fears. Good, but you're on the right track, Winky. Thank you very much. You're on the right track. So he has other fears, and then now we're sort of just gonna see what this other fear is, or other fears are. So when I feel fair creature of an hour, so when you hear the word fair creature, what do you think of? Fair creature. And this is a male writer. Fair creature.
A woman, like a beautiful, like light-skinned woman.
Okay. I don't know about light skin, but okay.
Fair is like a
Yeah,
light
true.
skin,
In the 21st
or a
century,
white.
when you're fair, you're light skin. I totally get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So beautiful woman. All right. I like that. So we are now introduced to this woman in the poet's life, in John Keats' life. Okay, so what do you think he means when he says fair creature of an hour? Also, just taking into consideration what we've been speaking about in regards to time being a limitation. What do you think when he says this woman is of an hour, what he refers to?
Ma'am,
Yes, Mpendu.
he refers to the fake creature of an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Reason why he's saying that is because she may also die.
Okay, that's good.
She may also run out of time,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll never see her again because of death.
Yes, okay, that's good.
Yes.
Anybody else think Mpendu that's very good? Okay, that's good. That's exactly. So he's scared that she too is, mortal. She's gonna die. And the time that he hopes they will have together will no longer be. That I shall never look upon thee more. So in line 10, the line I just recited now, what word in line 10 gives us an idea that these two, the poet and the woman, have seen each other before, and they've spent time together before. So which is, it's just one word in line 10.
I think it's more.
Good,
More.
it is more.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So taking a closer look at what we've spoken about regarding the life and background of John Keats, why do you think he speaks like this? Why do you think he thinks like this? Taking closer, I repeat, taking closer consideration in the experiences of his personal life and background. Why do you think he thinks the way that he does, and why do you think he feels like there's not much time left in the different aspects of his life? Bongi?
Can I answer?
Hi.
I
Yes.
think I think it's got to do with, I think you mentioned like a bit of his history, that his parents also passed away from TB and his brother passed away from TB. So I think maybe he feels like their lives are also short-lived. Maybe they didn't die when they were old, but they died actually when they were quite young. So maybe
Mm,
that's why he feels like time is very limited and that you just need to try and make the most of it while you can,
yes.
even though that's why he has these fears, because he hasn't seen anybody live up to a certain age to
Good. Mm.
like experience it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very good. Elwa, you can just add to it.
No, I was gonna say the exact same thing,
All
like
right.
about his parents. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's good. Thank you, Elwa Bongi. Right now, yeah. So this is just everything that we've spoken about. Now we're on lines 11 and 12. Never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore. So in line level, 11, 11, line 11. The word fairy means imaginary, mythical, relating to fairies. And then we see again the word never, which is a limitation. So again, we're speaking of death. So now we bring um, we'll go back to this recurring theme of death as a limitation. So now, when he says never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the show. So now he's just thinking, this woman is gonna die. I'm probably gonna die. I'm never gonna experience this magical, out of hand, romantic, great fairy kind of love. Just think of Tinkerbell and the stars shining and you and the love of your life under the stars. And so this guy is probably the poet is just saying it will never happen because she's probably gonna die like me and will never have get a chance to experience that. So now we see that the poet has two fears in this poem. Elwa, the first fear is,
Dying young.
and the second one?
I think experiencing love, I guess, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically just spending time with the woman that he loves. He thinks he doesn't have enough time with her.
Yeah.
Okay. Bongi?
I'd like to ask a
Okay.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does it say like of unreflecting love then on the shore? Like,
And okay, then on the shore is the start of a sentence that goes on into 13 and 14. So basically, lines 11 and 12, according to me or anyone really, was just supposed to say, never have relish in the very power of unreflecting love. Unfortunately, um, lines 13 starts at 12. So it will make sense when it says, then on the shore of the wide world, I stand alone and think.
okay. But what
Yeah.
does it say like unreflecting love? Is it that he
Oh,
doesn't believe in
no,
love
no.
or
Unreflecting love is basically just when you're so in love that you don't really care about anything. Guri, this person could be a murderer and you wouldn't even reflect on that. This is the love of my life. I don't care if you killed 1,000 people, you're the love of my life. We're moving on. I don't care what anybody says. You're the love of my life. We're going to be in love. So it's
oh,
basically
okay.
a gone girl where you just like, it's me and this boy, and I don't care what anybody else says. Okay? Yeah, so
Okay.
good. Uh, in our generation, it's called the gone girl. Okay? All right, so we're moving to lines 13 and 14, which starts here. Then on the shore of the wide world, I stand alone and think. To love and fame, to nothingness do sink. So here we've spent the entire poem talking about, oh, I'm not going to achieve my dreams. Oh, I'm not going to spend time with the love of my life. And then suddenly in the last two lines, the author finds himself just standing on the shore, looking at the sea and the wide world. And he says, you know what? actually my problems are not that big. The world is much bigger than my problems. It doesn't really matter. This fame of being a writer does not matter. This love that I want does not matter. So we go from a tone of just worry and sadness and anxiety to just an emotionless tone where he just goes, you know what? The world is too big. This doesn't even matter. The world does not, the dreams that I have are just not compared to the scope of the world. Okay, right. And then the alliteration in wide world. Why do you think that was done? What is the emphasis of the alliteration in wide world? Wide world. Wide world. Wide. Bongi, yes.
I was just going to say that maybe it's just emphasizing like how big and how vast the world is.
Yes, good. Also, just to emphasize on how long maybe he stood there in solitude. Um, it can also, yeah, it can also be like what I'm seeing is so big, and I've been standing here, um, thinking about how big it is and so long. So it just goes to show that he spent so much time thinking about this and just thinking about how little what he's feeling is compared to how big the world is. Okay, so before we go into a class discussion, I just want to ask if everybody is okay with the analysis of the poem. You understand what the poem is about? If there is anything I need to go back to. Okay, I'll take that as everyone is good. So just with learner support and enrichment, I have uploaded further readings on John Keats, his life and background, as well as his works, for those of you that would like to read more about it. And then for those of you that did not fully grasp the lesson during this time, I have uploaded a video of the exact lesson for those that do not grasp my teaching techniques. And then please note that everything is on the shared drive. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a class discussion. And I think, yes, this is definitely the last thing we're going to do before I give you the homework assignment, and then we will be done for this lesson. So for the class discussion, what are some of the themes surrounding this poem? Anybody? Themes? Go and get your mic. She was like, okay, no.
No, I forgot to raise my hand.
Oh, okay, no, you can go.
I think the themes. Could you say the themes are of maybe nature,
Yes, good.
fear?
Good.
Um, I'm not sure if I could say love, but he did touch on that fair
Yes, yes,
lady, the fair
yes, love.
creature.
Yeah, like losing love or dying love or something.
Yeah, dying on, and yeah, I think that's what I can think of so far.
Good. That's good. Anybody else? Elwa?
Yeah, I was gonna say romance, but yeah, I think
Good.
love is like a similar word.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. So yeah, there's dying love, there's creativity, there's just a matter of death as a limitation, and yes, so goals and losing his need for creativity, losing the love of his life, and nature being compared to his creative potential. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to the poem. What kind of poem is this? As we can see, the rhyme scheme is A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. What kind of poem is this? It's a sonnet. what kind of sonnet is this? It's a type of a sonnet. Bongi, yes, please.
I think a Shakespearean.
Yes, good. It's a Shakespearean sonnet. It's what is a Shakespearean sonnet also known as?
Is it not like an English one?
An Elizabethan, yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, you were there. You were still there. Yeah, so it's a Shakespearean sonnet, also known as an Elizabethan sonnet, due to its rhyme scheme A B A B C D C D E F E F G G at the end. Okay, and then so I just want us to do the meter of the poem together, and so that you can just tell me what kind of meter it is. So it's when I have fears that I may cease to be. So it has 10 syllables in each line. What kind of meter is this? 10 syllables per line. Iambic, pentameter. It's an iambic pentameter. Yes. So an iambic pentameter is when they are 10 syllables in each row of in each line of a poem. Okay, so Bongi, since you discussed the Shakespearean and Elizabethan sonnet with us, what is important? What are some of the what is the aspect of a Elizabethan or Shakespearean sonnet? Just an example, Elizabethan sonnet, in the first 12 lines, the speaker sort of goes through troubles, and then the last two lines, lines 13 and 14, he sort of finds a resolution to his troubles. So in regards to this particular poem that we're dealing with, what were his troubles in the first 12 lines, and then how did he find a resolution to these troubles?
I think his troubles in the first 12 lines were that he was describing that he had fears, that he had the fears of death, and him not being able to realize his maybe potential of writing, and him wanting to like explore like the grains of. Say something about the vast. I forgot the word.
Full ripened grain.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
And then he said that. And then I think in the second part, I think it's called what? Is it the sestet and the octave? I'm not sure. But the other part of the
The
poem, he was,
quatrain, yes.
yes,
Yes.
sorry. In
It's
the
okay.
other part of the poem, he spoke about, I think that's when he spoke about his the fair creature,
Mm-hmm.
and about, I don't know, not being able to experience love,
And spend time with
and
her. Good. Mm-hmm.
yes, and spend time with her because he feels like she's gonna die, so she'll
Mm-hmm.
die. And yeah, I can't read.
That's good. And
Yeah.
then in the last couplet, the last two lines where he finds resolution according to the Shakespearean sonnet, what resolution did he find? How did he fix these problems that he had?
Yeah, I can't remember, man.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody want to help? Okay, that's good. You did so good. Good. Elwa, Pendulo, want to help?
I think I can. I
Okay.
think how he solved or overcame his fears was just to think how small and little his problems or his fears are compared to how big the world is.
Good,
And
good,
then,
good.
yeah, so I
Mm,
think that's how that's how he overcame his fears.
good. That's good. That's very,
Mhm.
very good. All right, guys, this was a very, very productive discussion. So yes, it is an Elizabethan Shakespearean sonnet. Um, it has the first 12 lines. these represent the problems that the poet is experiencing, and then the last two lines we are introduced to a resolution. Okay, just to conclude the lesson, you do have a homework assignment. Please write an assignment of no more than 1 page and 750 words. You can choose from the three: the figures of speech or the literary devices that were used in the poem, the recurring themes of the poem as discussed during the lesson, and the poem's romantic aspects. Obviously, it would mean that you will have to look at the life and the background of the poet. And please just make sure that you submit via my email account. I have uploaded the rubric as well. And thank you guys for coming to today's lesson. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.